We're going to be looking into DEI. That's diversity, equity, and inclusion, of course.
Right.
You know, it's something we hear about more and more these days.
Yeah.
And you sent over a YouTube video. The title was pretty provocative. DEI is discrimination. So I have to admit, I'm pretty curious about this perspective. What do you think? Could DEI actually be discriminatory?
Well, you know, that title is definitely attention grabbing.
Yeah.
It seems like it's setting up this idea of reverse discrimination, you know, that DEI programs could actually end up harming certain groups while trying to help others.
Yeah, and I think, you know, a lot of us have maybe heard stories, maybe even experienced situations ourselves where it seemed like DEI initiatives weren't really working the way they were supposed to.
Right, yeah.
So I'm ready to dig into this video and see what it's all about.
Okay, well, the video actually starts off with a real-world case.
Oh.
Yeah. It talks about a tech company, you know, trying to do the right thing, trying to increase the number of women in leadership positions. And so they put in place a hiring program to try to make that happen.
I see.
But they set these really specific targets, like quotas for female hires, you know? And, well, the problem was there were some male candidates who were really qualified. They even scored higher on those skills assessments.
Wow.
But they got passed over.
Oh, wow.
Because of these quotas. And you can imagine what happened next, right?
I was going to say.
Lawsuit.
Yeah.
Claiming reverse discrimination.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
About how DEI initiatives can, you know, sometimes have these unintended consequences, even when everyone's trying to do the right thing.
It's complicated for sure. And the video actually goes on to say that this type of situation, you know, these lawsuits, they could become even more common in the future.
Oh, really? Why is that?
Well, it's because how the law is interpreted, you know, how it views DEI, always evolving.
That makes sense. So it's not just about like what people are trying to do with these DEI programs, but it's also about how those programs are put into action. Yeah. And if they could be seen as discriminating against someone.
Right,
Yeah.
like those quotas. The video really emphasizes that organizations need to be very careful about how they design these programs.
Yeah.
And it also kind of pushes back against this idea of just focusing on like checking boxes, you know?
Right.
Just trying to hit certain numbers or percentages. Because it says that if you do that, if you just focus on those metrics and you don't think about like the individual qualifications and the bigger picture, you could end up in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. It seems like it's really easy to get caught up in those numbers. I mean, it's tempting,
Right.
to want to see those numbers move in the right direction.
Yeah.
But you bring up a really good point. It's not just about the numbers. It's about creating a truly inclusive environment, right?
Exactly.
But, you know, it makes you wonder, why are we seeing so many of these DEI initiatives now? I mean, they haven't always been around.
Right. Well, it's not a coincidence. You know, DEI as a concept, it came about because there was this history of inequality.
Right.
Where certain groups were just not represented fairly.
Absolutely.
And so the whole point of DEI was, and still is, to make things more fair.
So it's really about creating a level playing field.
Exactly. It's about making sure that everyone has equal opportunities and that everyone feels valued. And the video, to be fair, it's not saying that diversity and inclusion are bad things.
Right.
It's just saying that, you know, sometimes these programs that are meant to promote DEI, they don't always work the way they're supposed to.
And they can even backfire.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really seems like it all comes down to, like you said, careful planning and execution. You can have the best intentions in the world, but if you don't think things through carefully, you can actually end up causing more harm than good.
Exactly. And I think that's a pretty good takeaway from this deep dive. You know, how can organizations really make sure that their DEI initiatives are achieving what they set out to do? How can they make sure that they're creating genuine inclusion while also, you know, making sure everything's being done legally and fairly?
Yeah. It's a complex issue, that's for sure. But it's something we all need to be thinking about.
Absolutely. We're looking at this YouTube video.
Okay.
It's called Exposing the Woke Agenda.
Hmm.
And it's from this channel, Aquarius Wave.
Interesting.
Yeah, and this creator, right off the bat, I mean, they jump right into some pretty strong opinions about how society's changed, you know?
Oh.
They're saying we've gotten, like, way too sensitive,
Interesting.
easily triggered, fragile almost. Like, it's a bold take.
Yeah, I can see that.
But that's why we're here, right? To unpack it all.
Right, exactly. And it is fascinating, actually, how this creator really sets the whole thing up.
Oh, how so?
Well, they're saying that basically we've lost this sort of immunity to offense.
Immunity to offense.
Yeah, like our grandparents' generation, they're saying they had it,
Okay.
but we've lost it. It's like we're these babies in bubbles now, you know, afraid to like experience anything messy or
Ooh, I like.
or hear an opinion that, you know, that we don't agree with.
Okay, yeah, I see where you're going with this. So less Less rolling in the dirt and more like hiding in our safes.
Exactly.
Got it. But hold on. What exactly is this this woke agenda thing they keep talking about?
Right.
Because I think that gets thrown around a lot these days.
It does. And you know what? The creator doesn't ever really define it explicitly. But based on like all their arguments and stuff, it seems to be referring to, I think, what they see as like this dominant ideology.
Okay.
You know, that emphasizes things like identity politics, social justice, and being really, really sensitive to like any kind of offense.
Gotcha.
So they're basically arguing that this whole ideology, it's like become so big, so pervasive that it's actually stifling any kind of open dialogue.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they say it's creating this culture of like fear where people are afraid to even like say anything if it goes against the grain at all.
Interesting. So it's not just about being a little too politically correct. It's like it's a whole system of thought that they're like pushing back against.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I'm starting to see why this video might be stirring up some controversy.
Right.
But wait, how do they even back up these claims? Do they give like any specific examples of this whole woke agenda in action?
They do. They do. A big part of their argument is about this whole thing of virtue signaling.
Virtue signaling?
Yeah, where people are like trying to gain social status by showcasing how offended they are or how oppressed they are.
Interesting.
They're suggesting that it's not even really about genuine concern anymore.
Oh.
It's more about seeking validation or even like wielding it as a weapon to try and silence other people.
That's heavy stuff.
It is.
I mean, I'm starting to see why this video might be stirring up some controversy. But how do they back up these claims? Do they give any like concrete examples of this virtue signaling thing in action?
They do. They do. They kind of contrast modern reactions to even just like disagreeing with someone.
Yeah.
They contrast that with their grandparents' generation, who they say, you know, they faced actual real hardship, like real hardship, but they didn't use it for like sympathy or to get attention. And they argue that today, even like minor disagreements, I mean, tiny little things are treated like personal attacks, like huge personal attacks.
Wow.
It's almost like a villain story.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Where the person who's offended, they cast themselves as the victim right away.
It definitely feels like we hear the word trauma used a lot more casually these days.
Right.
But is that really because of like some woke agenda? Or are there other things at play?
Right.
I mean, maybe we're just more aware of mental health now than, you know, our grandparents were back then.
That's a valid point. I mean, it's complex. It's a complex issue. There are a lot of perspectives.
Yeah.
But the creator, they don't really go into like all the nuances of it.
Okay.
They're really focused, this claim, this heightened sensitivity.
Right.
It's a direct result of this like woke ideology that's pushing this victimhood mentality.
Okay, I'm following you. So they're saying it's not that people aren't like experiencing real challenges or real pain,
Right.
but that this woke agenda kind of encourages them to like frame those experiences in a way that shuts down any dissenting opinions.
Exactly. They argue that all this focus on personal offense makes it basically impossible to have like open and honest conversations, especially about tough topics, like the things that really matter.
And this leads to their claim that this whole system of beliefs, as they call it, is actually more harmful than other forms of like societal injustice.
Yes.
That's a bold statement.
It is bold.
What do they even mean by that?
They believe that this system of beliefs, and again, they don't really define it, but they seem to be talking about this woke ideology. They're saying it promotes a worldview where like individuals, they see themselves as like constantly vulnerable and threatened. And so they argue that leads to this desire to like control the narrative and to silence anyone who challenges their perspective at all.
So it's not just about like political correctness.
Right.
It's about a deeper mindset that they see as harmful to like society as a whole.
Precisely. They argue that this mindset is creating this climate of fear and distrust.
Yeah.
Where people are like literally afraid to just express themselves honestly or to even just have like a genuine debate with someone.
Wow. We're already getting into some deep waters here. It's clear this creator isn't holding back. But before we get swept away by the current, let's take a closer look at some of their like specific critiques.
That sounds like a good plan. There's a lot to unpack here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've kind of established here that this creator sees this link between this woke agenda and how we've gotten, I guess, worse at handling offense.
Yeah.
But they also seem to have a little bit of a problem with how diversity is talked about these days, right?
Yeah, they do.
Like, what's their take on that?
So they're arguing that diversity, as it's often presented now, it's kind of superficial.
Okay.
They're claiming that while there might be this big focus on like having diverse appearances or backgrounds,
Right.
true acceptance,
Yeah.
it's conditional on everyone conforming to this one specific ideology.
So it's like diversity of appearances, but not of thought, kind of.
Precisely.
Yeah.
They're suggesting there's this unspoken rule.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you could look different or come from a different background, but your beliefs, opinions, they have to align with the main ideology.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that acceptance, it disappears.
And they actually share like a personal story about being ostracized for expressing different views,
You do.
even by people who like claim to love them unconditionally. That must have been hard.
It must have been.
Do they go into detail about like what those views even were?
They don't specify the exact views that led to this, ostracism.
Mm-hmm.
The anecdote, it's there to illustrate their point, I think, about this whole idea of conditional acceptance.
Right.
Like they're suggesting it creates this sort of facade of inclusivity,
Yeah.
but then it crumbles
Yeah.
when you bring in actual diversity of thought.
It's power. It's like, it reminds me of those optical illusions
Oh, yeah.
where you think you're seeing one thing,
Yeah.
but then, you shift your perspective a little and you see something totally different.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
The creator seems to be arguing that we need to shift our perspective on this whole idea of diversity to include not just like outward appearances,
Right.
but like different ways of thinking too.
Different ways of seeing the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about this woke agenda, this idea of virtue signaling, this critique of conditional acceptance. Where does the video go from there? Like what's their solution to all this?
Well, they have this pretty direct call to action.
Okay.
I say speak the truth boldly and unafraid,
Wow.
regardless of the consequences.
Okay.
They're saying that too many people are like censoring themselves
Yeah.
because they're afraid of backlash or being ostracized.
Oh yeah.
And they say that silence,
Yeah.
it's actually harmful to society.
So they're encouraging people to be more outspoken, even if it means like risking offense or going against the grain.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty gutsy stance to take, especially in today's climate.
It is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. And they even give a very specific example,
Oh, okay.
a very controversial example.
Okay.
They say we need to speak out against what they call the mutilation of children in schools.
Whoa. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
a loaded topic, to say the least.
it is.
I can already imagine like, the reactions that statement would get.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like they're advocating for a very specific viewpoint here, not just open dialogue in general.
It's a good observation.
Yeah.
And while they, emphasize free speech a lot,
Yeah.
they also seem to be like promoting their own perspective on this particular issue.
It makes you wonder if there's like a contradiction there.
Right.
They're criticizing people for being like too easily offended. They're calling for open dialogue. But on the other hand, they're presenting this very specific viewpoint
Right.
and they're saying like, this is the truth.
Uh-huh.
It's almost like they're saying, be more open to different opinions, except for the ones I disagree with.
That's a funny way to put it.
Yeah.
But it does highlight that there might be an inconsistency in their argument there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got this call to action,
Right.
but it comes with its own, complexities and contradictions.
Mm-hmm.
What else do they propose? What else do they say?
Well, they emphasize this idea of mental and emotional resilience.
Okay,
They use that rolling in the dirt metaphor again.
right.
And they're basically saying that we need to be more willing to get messy,
Yeah.
to make mistakes, to face challenges without, falling apart.
So it's not just about like speaking our minds.
Right.
It's about developing like a thicker skin
Yeah.
and being able to handle like criticism.
Exactly. They seem to be arguing that this oversensitivity to offense, it's partly because people lack resilience.
Interesting.
And they say that building up that resilience, it's actually crucial
yeah.
for navigating, a world with different perspectives
Yeah.
and disagreement.
It's like they're pushing back against this idea that we need to be constantly protected from anything that might upset us.
Yes, exactly.
Like maybe a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of dirt
yeah.
is actually good for us.
It might be. They even suggest that this constant need for comfort and validation, it could actually be making us weaker,
Oh, wow.
less able to deal with real life.
I wonder if there's a balance to be struck.
Yeah,
And it's important to be compassionate and empathetic,
of course.
but also to like stand up for ourselves.
Yes.
And our beliefs, even when they're not popular.
Absolutely. And the creator seems to be advocating for this like shift in our mindset
Okay.
away from this culture of fragility
Yeah.
toward like more personal responsibility and resilience.
Okay, we've covered a lot.
We have.
We've explored their critique of diversity, their call to action, and their emphasis on resilience.